Welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Brian Halley, and you're listening to the Brandstanding podcast. I'm excited to help you unlock the magic of brand strategy to supercharge your business in a way that's practical, easy, and fun. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Brandstanding podcast. My name is Brian Halley, and with me is Emily Halley.
Hi, everybody.
We're glad that you're joining us today, and we want to do a quick recap of what we've covered so far. The 3 phases of branding. Remember, the first phase being the message phase, second phase is the identity, and the third phase is the expression. And there are 4 pillars in the messaging phase. The first pillar is purpose, which we covered in our last episode. And today we are going to be going over the second pillar, which is brand positioning.
Awesome. So brand positioning is basically trying to figure out where your brand fits in the competitive landscape of all of the similar products and services that are being offered out there in the market. And then strategically finding ways to make your brand different from your competitors in a way that will help people know when it's time to choose your brand.
And it's really important because there's so many messages out there. And I'm sure everybody wants to stand out, right, Emily?
Right.
Yeah. And so people are just overwhelmed. They have so much information coming at them in all different directions. And what we're trying to do as business owners is trying to get people to remember us, to know who we are and what we do, why we do it, how we're different from the competition, what products we offer, how much does it cost, what's the problems we want to solve in their lives, how they can buy it, et cetera, et cetera. And every other brand is trying to do the same thing.
Yes.
Right? And
Hence the overwhelm.
yeah, and a brand literally has about 7 seconds to make that first impression. And the new research of today is that on social media, it's 3 seconds.
Which is insane because all of that stuff that you just listed, how do you communicate all of that in 3 seconds?
Pretty difficult.
Right? Like you can't sit your customer down in front of you for 10 or 15 minutes and explain infomercial style everything that your brand is and why they should buy from you.
Exactly. And that's why we have this podcast, is we want to give you some shortcuts, ways to fit into that 3 to 7 seconds, right, Emily?
Yes, exactly.
So let's get into it.
And that's what smart brands do. And since you guys are all listening to this podcast, you must all be smart. Right? That goes without saying. So smart brands look for shortcuts. And we're going to give you some strategies to do this today. All of these strategies are related to how our brains process information. We take in all of these messages that are around us, and our brains are really good at sorting information into categories or into boxes. I kind of like to think of them as boxes. I don't know why. I'm sure there's not literal boxes in my brain, but for some reason, my brain wants to think of them that way. So that's what we're going to go with. So today we're going to cover how to identify your target audience. We're going to go through how to conduct a competitive audit or analysis to try to figure out who your competitors are and what they're saying. And then next week, we're going to cover how to do a SWOT analysis, which is trying to find your brand's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we'll do that on the next podcast, as well as figuring out how you're different from your competition and then writing a positioning statement.
Yes. And the importance of putting your company in a box. You want to have other people see you as that box. And when they need something, they're going to look at the box that has what they're looking for. So that is an important analogy. Boxes are okay.
Okay, good. And we're going to show you these boxes at work here.
We're going to take a real quick trip to the grocery store and look at the positioning and how it works in the form of cookies. Everybody loves cookies.
Yes, I am a fan.
All right. So I want everyone to imagine that they're in the cookie aisle. you've gotten to the cookie aisle and you look down this colorful array of amazing or crazy. You could call it two different things. They got the colors, they got reds and the blues and the pinks and
And there's a lot of choices.
so many choices to choose from. What are you going to buy? How do cookie brands help customers make that choice on which cookies to buy? Like, is it the packaging? Is it the colors? It's part of it. But a lot of it has already been positioned before you ever even walked in the grocery store.
Right. So these brands have done a lot of work so that when we have a certain situation that we're in, we need cookies for something, then our brains pull up these brands like, oh, this would be a good one. This would be a good one. Fine.
So let's do an example of that.
Okay.
All right. Person walks into the grocery store. I'm going to give what their need is and what they're trying to find. And Emily's going to kind of help you out with what cookies jump into mind.
I got you.
So this person is going down the row and they're looking for cookies just to have on hand for the family, just on the counter,
Okay.
hanging out at home. They need a cookie for that.
Okay. So two of them come to mind.
Okay.
One of them would definitely be Oreos.
All right.
Like, I have this picture in my mind of like a family sitting around the table playing a game, dunking their Oreos in milk, and it's just amazing,
It's an experience.
right?
You got the milk, you got the conversations, you
Yeah.
got the laughter, you got the
Yep.
dipping of the
There's a
cookies.
lot of you can get the like family size pack because everyone's going to take like 5 or 6 or 10 cookies. So you need a lot in there to share. So that's great. They have that really nice, convenient, like peel back.
Pull open
top.
and take 10
Yep.
or
Yep.
5.
Right. Exactly. The other one that comes to mind is Chips Ahoy, which I feel similarly would be good for that kind of a situation.
Mhm.
Although for some reason in my mind, I associate Chips Ahoy with like picnics or family barbecues. Like those are the ones that I would grab if I needed to bring
A little
something.
more mobile, on the go kind of
Yeah, and I don't. Maybe
convenience.
it's just because bringing the milk with you for the Oreos is a little harder to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think
Yeah.
that's funny.
All right. Same person walking down the aisle, different scenario at work, and they're going to have a nice lunch. And you've been asked to bring the cookies.
You're on the party planning committee. So the ones that come to my mind are those Pepperidge Farm cookies and the like white bags,
Okay.
like the paper bags. And there's only like 6 or 8 of them in there, right? And they're more expensive, but they're like big and they've got all the good stuff in them, like the chocolate chips and the nuts, and they have all these like just really hearty, good, like homemade style cookies.
Finer chocolates.
Yeah,
or
they're
just
nice.
The good
They're
ingredients.
nice and they're really tasty. I think it's amusing that they're on the top shelf. Like little kids can't get to these cookies. These are for the grown-ups.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Another example now. Next person comes in, they're concerned and aware about their health. They
Okay.
can't just go and get all this crazy sugar in them. Now they're concerned about a little bit of the healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good thing to think about. I think the one that comes to mind for me is Belvita.
Okay.
In fact, they do a really good job as kind of like a crossover cookie because they almost make themselves out to be almost a nutrition bar. Their packaging and the shape, and they've differentiated themselves in that way to look healthier. And I believe they use like whole grains and lower amounts of sugar and things like that.
Yeah. Is it the best, most perfect, like diet cookie? No, there's better, but they've done a way to, like, if you're thinking about it and you're moving in that direction, this is a good choice.
So that's the one I would pick if that's what I was looking for.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Last one. Walking down there. Now you're buying the snack for preschool.
Oh, like the snack bucket came home with your kid.
Yeah. And you have to provide,
and
like, you got to fill it up.
You got to fill it up. I think if we were doing cookies, we would probably have to go with those Mother's Circus Animal cookies. You know, the ones that are white and pink and they've got the little round sprinkles on them.
I love those.
And they're so good. They've made them small and colorful. They're perfect for kids.
If
You just give them a
yeah.
little handful and they're happy as clams.
And what's funny is what if you brought the circus animal cookies to the nice luncheon at work?
That would be awesome because then
It
everyone would be like, "What animal did you get?"
yeah. It's
I got the bear.
it's mixed. Yeah. All right, great, great. Thank you, Emily, for playing with us.
Yes, absolutely. So, the important thing, well, a couple of important things really. A brand needs to know who their customer is and what their customer needs. And then they need to know how to make their cookie or their product different from the other cookies, the other products, right? So that
Mhm.
you are not trying to make a product or a cookie for every person with every need. Um, you need to try to match your brand up with a specific customer that has a specific need. So we can do a couple of other quick examples. So sticking with our grocery store, what about the chocolate aisle?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Our
my favorite aisle personally.
the chocolate and the finest chocolates they make on that aisle are Tootsie Rolls?
Okay, stop it.
Stop.
Yeah. So we start down on the bottom shelf. This is where the garbage candy lives. You've got your Tootsie Rolls, your licorice, your Dum Dums, um, Dots. Don't tell my mom I said that. All of the stuff that you would not pick out of your kids' Halloween stash, right? Like they can eat that. It's cheap. You can buy a gigantic bag of it and you can give away 50 pieces to each kid at Halloween. No big deal. Not even break a sweat. Okay, so you've got the garbage candy, bottom shelf. We're just gonna throw this away.
If Emily does not like Tootsie Rolls, I do. I sometimes get them for her stocking and put them in just for a joke.
It's not a joke. That's not funny. Okay, then you've got like the middle shelf chocolates, right? Like the normal stuff, the
Hershey's,
Hershey's and the
Kit
Reese's
Kats,
and
and
Kit
Twix.
Kats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
these are all the things that I pick out of my kids' Halloween buckets.
Okay.
Yeah, everyday solid chocolate, solid candy. And then you've got the nicer stuff. So more of the top shelf, um, the luxury chocolates that are just really good.
Yeah, you
So
probably
I
get
think of like Lindt,
uh-huh.
Lindor, Ghirardelli, Ferrero Rocher.
That's
Uh,
access at you go to other grocery stores or something, you will definitely surpass even that
right,
with
right,
finer chocolates. Yeah.
right. Oh yeah, but the finest ones you can find at Wally World
Yeah.
would be those. So all of those chocolates have done the same thing in creating a space in their customers' minds about what would be a good, like if you're giving your fiance a Christmas gift, you probably don't want to give them a Ziploc bag full of Tootsie Rolls. It's not the best
May
romantic
not be your
gift.
fiance for too much longer.
Exactly. Well, I guess if you want to get rid of them, that would be a good way to go. But
And
it
that's
just depends.
and candy and chocolates aren't the only any product and service, whether you have or someone else has. I like thinking about food because people can relate, but even the ice creams,
It kind of sounds like we have a sweet tooth today.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
We might have to go out for ice cream
yeah.
after this.
Because in ice creams, it's Ben and Jerry's. Like they're like funny, and you want them on a date or when you're just
Yes.
laughter and they're kind of a
Yeah.
jester fun.
And they have all of those like really fun mixes that you can choose from that
Even the
are
naming of them,
unique. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. They're really funny.
yeah. So there's a good personality to it. But on the
Mhm.
other hand, if you're on a date, maybe more in the love direction,
Oh, the romantic, like the
yeah,
Haagen-Dazs.
yes,
Yes,
and
yes.
they've positioned themselves that way.
Yes, they have. We'll talk about that in future
Yeah,
episodes. Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm. Oh, but you also have the bottom shelf Cheapo Depot ice cream at the store as
Yeah, when you
well,
want to
right?
get a 2-gallon bucket of
Yeah, if you
something or
need
a
like a
gallon,
vat of ice cream to go with the birthday party cake or whatever,
or the
that
taste buds aren't gonna care.
right?
They just want ice cream with their cake.
Exactly. We don't need to be as choosy
Yeah,
when it's
exactly.
gonna be super expensive.
And there's different things you can compare, even car companies. If we moved over to
Mhm.
car companies, the same thing. You got
Right.
your
I mean, not as tasty, but yeah.
yeah, we're not all about taste.
Yeah, I have actually have a really great quote from Al and Laura Reese. They said that if you want to build a brand, you must focus your branding efforts on owning a word in the prospect's mind, a word that no one else owns. So basically, your brand gets its own box, right? And then they say what prestige is to Mercedes, safety is to Volvo.
Amazing.
So Mercedes has worked to earn this spot of prestige in people's brains, and Volvo has worked to earn the spot of safety in people's brains. So what's interesting about this is this leads us right into our target audience discussion today, because a target audience is a group of people who are most likely to be interested in a product, service, or message. What I think is smart that these big brands have done is they realize that there is a super big market for people who are in need of cars. But there are a whole bunch of different groups of people within that market that need cars for different things. Just like the people going to the store for the different types of cookies. People that are buying cars have different situations. So maybe if you are a family with lots of little kids, you might think about Volvo as one of your options because of its safety awards,
Excellent. And what if
right?
I wanted to be adventurous and outdoor and
Oh
go
yeah.
off-roading
Same thing. So if you wanted to be adventurous, you might, choose like a Subaru Outback or
or Jeep?
yeah, a Jeep. That would be perfect.
Definitely. And what if I
Yeah.
was a business owner or a lawyer or a CEO or something and I wanted
Mhm.
a car?
Yeah, so what would you pick?
Probably Mercedes
Mhm.
or like a BMW. They kind of position themselves on a higher level
Yeah, more
of a
of
car.
like the luxury or performance type cars. So each of those little groups of people within the market are different segments. So it's important to remember that when we're thinking about our target audience, we aren't thinking like, well, everyone in the whole world needs what I do. You probably don't have a marketing budget that's going to allow you to market to every person in the world. So, what we need to do is we need to get more specific. We need to get more granular. Who are the people that are going to be most interested in what I do?
Excellent. And let's talk about the steps on how to identify this audience. Um, we'll begin with statistical data in the form of demographics, psychographics, and behavioral insights into your customers. So, here's something that'll separate you from the crowd at the next party you're at because you're going to know the difference between demographics and psychographics.
You just like
Mhm.
saying psychographics.
Psycho. it's a it's fun that that's in that word, but you'll so
Does
demographics,
it mean your target audience is
they are not
psycho?
psycho. No.
Probably not.
So here's the difference. Demographics is statistical data relating to the population and particular groups within that population. Age is a demographic, gender, profession, the location, where they're at geographically, marital status. Demographics is a great place to start. However, looking at the cookie example we talked about earlier, the same age, location, marital status, and even profession could be going onto that aisle, but they need different things at different times.
Right.
That's when we get into psychographics. So, psychographics is the study and classification of people according to their attitudes, their aspirations, and other criteria like their personality, their values, their attributes, their interests, their opinions. It's more powerful to find the psychographics than it is the demographics.
Yes, and super helpful in knowing how to talk to your target audience because you start to realize these are the things that matter to them. These are the things they care about. These are the things that they value or want. And then it's a way easier to target your marketing at those specific people.
Yes, there's
So,
that.
how do we find this stuff out is
Mhm.
the next question, right? There are several tools and techniques that you can use in looking for this statistical data on your people. One of them is to analyze your current customer base. So if you already have a group of customers, you can look at their demographics, you can look at their purchasing behavior. For example, have they bought several things from you? Are they buying one thing from you? Is it like a certain time of year that they're buying? All of these like different types of behaviors you would want to be aware of. Also look at the feedback that you're getting from your current customers. Are they liking your stuff? Are they recommending some changes? All of that is helpful. Another thing you could do is you could survey your current customers. It's so easy to create like a Google form and send this out. Ask them why they chose your product and what they love about it and what could be improved. Now you're really starting to delve into those psychographics in that
What are
arena.
they thinking?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is valuable information and also a little vulnerable at times. So, I know sometimes it's hard to ask, like, what people think of your baby that you are putting out into the world, but it's also important to know how you can make your baby better. Another thing that you can do is use Google Analytics, and this is a free tool that helps you understand how people are using your website or your app. And it's like a little code that you can put into your website on your pages. And it'll tell you things like how long people are looking at your page, what pages they're looking at, what if they're buying, or if they have abandoned shopping carts. It'll tell you where the customer came from. So you can kind of understand their journey through the buying process. And then another way you could do this is you could engage on social media. So you can use the different social media analytic tools to understand who your followers are, what their needs are, other people that they follow, their preferences, their pain points. You can talk to them on social media. You can also do polls and other types of surveys as well.
And then make it fun. Make it fun when you're finding this person out. Give them a
Mhm.
name. And as you find out about them, act like them. See it the world through their eyes. And you just create a brand persona or what we call an avatar for that person. And what do they value? What are their opinions? What are their habits? Think about what the day in the life of this avatar would be like as you go through it and create what we call a customer profile.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of different templates that you can use for target audience out there available on the web. I'm going to tell you what ours looks like. So if you want to recreate this on a Google Doc, you're welcome to do that. You could just make a table, and one of the boxes you can put demographics. In another box, you can put goals and values. In another box, there's sources of information or watering holes. So this is kind of a funny visual. If you've ever seen those nature shows in Africa where you've got like the one little puddle that's left after the summer and all of the animals are circled around it. These are the types of places that are a dream for marketers because you've got all of your target customers in one place and you can talk to them all at the same time. And you might also get some other ones who are around, right? Maybe in between the elephants, there's also some other animals
Yeah,
in there.
because if you just did the demographics, you'd only get the married elephants and the homeowner elephants, and you think they're all elephants, and you're like, "No, no,
Yeah.
look who else is at this watering
Yeah.
hole."
Watering holes are ecosystems,
Yeah.
right? So you can find other customers potentially. Then there's another box that has their challenges and pain points. And then finally, a box that has what objections they might have to purchasing your product. These are the things you would need to make sure that you overcame so that they would buy from you. Also, what their role is in the purchase process.
Yeah, could you give us an example of that,
Yes.
going through
So
each one of
we
those?
we recently had a client. I'm going to use his as an example. So he is a local business coach. His company is called Mind Tune. And his target avatar is called the creative entrepreneur. So that's the name that he gave his avatar. And demographics wise, these are entrepreneurs, business executives, and political leaders, ages 35 to 50. And he put down for geographic data in Utah, because that's where he is, also the United States. And then he has ties to Latin America and Brazil. So if we left it at that, that is a lot of people,
That's a
right? Multiple
big watering hole.
countries, 15 years, age range. That's a lot of people. So we need to get more focused. As far as goals and values, he is looking for people who they want the freedom to live by their own lights. They want to become whoever they want to be. They love adventures. They want to make a positive impact on the world. They feel like they have a higher calling. Often creativity is part of this process for them, taking what's inside of them and trying to figure out a way to manifest that in the world. They view success as living a deeper, more fulfilling life, to be an instrument for good. They're open minded, they're individualistic, they're self sufficient. If you could create a brand that also valued these things, it would attract these kind of people.
And that's all outside of your demographics. Now
Mhm.
this gets into
Yes, these are
psychographics.
psychographics.
Yeah.
So then sources of information, watering holes, these people would probably be attracted to like self-improvement type seminars, books, podcasts, maybe even in like the spirituality or creativity realms. They'd probably follow travel blogs. They would be on Facebook and Instagram, language learning applications like Duolingo, artistic or musical spaces. And then their challenges and pain points are that because they have this really deep sense of wanting to do something more, they also feel it very keenly that by going out and doing this on their own, they're leaving the crowd. They can't belong anymore because they have to kind of go out on their own and they have to do something unique. And so this could be scary and a little paralyzing for people that want to step out there and accomplish their vision. So that's a challenge. They may feel also trapped because they've tried before and they've failed. So they've got a lot of that kind of traumatic experiences to work through so that they can take the next step forward. They might be just feeling this general malaise or dissatisfaction. They want a deeper purpose, deeper meaning, and this yearning that's just not being met. So as far as objections go, we found that they would want to know, how is this program different from other things I've tried? How is it going to help me? How long is it going to take? What's the cost? And what are the successes that other people have had in that program?
And what I love about this layout here is basically you gave a marketing company or yourself so many avenues and so many things to direct your attention to the branding. I love the watering holes because it helps you know where to market. Is it in magazines? Is it in commercials? Is it in social media? It tells you where those people are at. And the more you learn about them and get more data behind it,
Better you get. Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll cover it in future podcasts, but the challenges and pain points are how you write your taglines and the things that capture them in that 3 to 7 seconds. Because 'cause you're, like, addressing, "Hey, I had that same pain.
Uh-huh.
I
Right,
I relate to."
you know where to find them, you know who they are, you know what their problems are, and what their objections are gonna be, and so you know exactly how to talk to them, exactly how to attract them, and exactly how to say, "Hey, we've got the solutions
And
for you."
there's your shortcut.
There's a shortcut.
There's a shortcut in there. Okay, okay.
Exactly. So after we know who our target audience is, the next step in brand positioning is to understand who your competition is. And we do this by doing a competitive audit or analysis.
And the competitive audit, what is it? Who are the brands that are offering similar products, services to yours? For this, we usually perform some Google searches with keywords that we imagine a potential customer would use. For example, if I'm a branding agency, they're searching brand agency. That's pretty common. Brand agency near me. affordable graphic designer, or branding for small businesses, logo, or web design. This is what's in a competitive audit. You create a Google spreadsheet. In one column, you make a list of the first page results that you found from your Google keyword searches.
Yeah, because we're not going to go past the first page. Who does, right?
Yeah, so get 5 to 10 and put it on the left column and analyze each brand. But put their website, their social media handles, and links and stuff on that left column with it so you can reference it really quick.
Mhm.
And then we'll tell you then now what's in the next column.
Okay. Yeah. So after you've got your names in that list, you're going to begin your analysis. And so you're going to look at their website, their social media accounts, their packaging, anything they have that's accessible to you. And we're going to look at what their messaging is. So this is your second column. You'll label it messaging. And what we're interested in is what claims are they making? What word are they trying to own in your mind? What box are they trying to fill? You can tell this by looking at like their headline of their homepage, if they have a tagline, if you see like certain phrasing repeated over and over again throughout their materials. Sometimes you kind of have to distill it as best you can from all of the messaging that you're looking at. Like, this is where they're headed because not every brand is crystal clear at communicating what their word is all the time.
Yeah, and that information is usually internally on that company. So the first column, the list of the competitors, and the second column, like Emily said, the
Messaging.
messaging of what that keyword or what are they trying to own in the marketplace. And then the third column, Emily.
The third column, you're going to put their products and services and the features that they offer. So, if they have courses, if they have a product, some other type of service, you'll list those there with all of the different features that they offer.
Great. And then in the fourth column, you're then going to now look at the visual identity and look at the colors that the brand's using. Does the brand look modern, updated? Does it look old, poorly designed? Like, look for that stuff. This is a time to judge, and you kind of write down what does their visual identity look like, and what kinds of photos are they using, what fonts, what logo, etc. That's all in the fourth column of this audit.
Mhm.
Then we move to the fifth column.
In the fifth column, you're going to consider pricing. And so sometimes this can be a little tricky. I have been known to submit bid requests on people's websites so that I can try to get familiar with their pricing structure. Sometimes it's easy because it's just listed right there on their site. But this is important to know where you rank as far as pricing goes when you're going to design your brand strategy.
Yeah, excellent. And that leads right into the sixth column that you're going to put, and that's the customer experience that you have. And it could start with asking for that quote for pricing, what that experience looks like. You could sign up for a newsletter or buy the product itself. I love finding information about buying a product and watching their process to see how good was it? How can it improve? Download a freebie, shop at the store itself. That's how you can get a feel for the customer service that they have. You can also review their social media, look at what the customers are saying about them, what they're doing well, not so well. It's always some great insight.
Yeah, and at the heart of it, what are they trying to get their customer to feel through their process?
And you will find that some brands do it well, and some brands, they
Mhm.
don't know how to own a word or a feeling, and they could be all over the place.
Right,
And you'll find some that are really sharp in that area.
right. Okay, so after you have done this research for a few different keywords, you will probably start to get a feel for like the 3 to 5 competitors that are going to be the real competition. You'll notice that some people just have like their products and services are just a little different. They're not as competitive to what you're doing, so those can kind of fall to the background. Also, you might notice that maybe they don't look as active in marketing their company as maybe they had been before, so those can be backburnered. And then you'll find the people who are the ones you wanna chase or the ones that you're potential customer would be considering if they're in that market.
Yeah, so narrow the field. I mean,
Mhm.
don't find the competitors that have a low bar set,
Yeah, so you
because
don't
if
have to
you
worry about all of them, just
yeah,
the ones that seem like they're serious.
because if you do the low bar ones, then you just do a little bit more, and competitors are going to come and take you over.
Yes.
That's really easy. So get the top.
So quickly, there's one pitfall that I wanna warn everybody about. Sometimes when you find, like, that dream competitor, you're like, "Oh my goodness, I wish I was them." They've got it all.
I have a bunch.
They're doing everything right. The purpose of this is not to try to copy your competitors. You don't want to be just like them. What you want to do is figure out how you're different and how you can stand out.
And they can inspire you for
Yes.
things to do, even things that are on the back end, like their services or software, you could mimic,
Uh-huh.
but the front end, you have to differentiate yourself. That's
Right.
You
Right.
got to make yourself different.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna highlight MindTune again.
Okay.
When we did their competitive audit, we looked at 3 key competitors. One of them was Utah-based, and then we had Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard, which are really well-known worldwide business coaches. They've done their marketing so well that when you do a keyword search, those are the ones that pop up, and those are the ones that are top of mind. So it's important to realize that these are the options that your customers are going to find when they're looking for a coach. So we looked at the audit and we found that all 3 of these competitors were targeting the same market. They were looking for high performing action driven executives and entrepreneurs. What was interesting about this, however, is that all of them, because they were looking for these people that were just already so successful in the sense that they made a lot of money and that they just always wanted more. Like, no matter what they built, it wasn't enough. It was like this craving, this drive to keep like going further and further for stuff.
Mhm.
And MindTune was very specific on saying, that's not what we're about. We're about finding people who feel like they have something in them that they need to offer the world. And success would be bringing that into the world. And then MindTune wanted to help people overcome whatever was in the way for them in order to make that happen. So it was a very different feeling, it was like stepping away from this high energy drive, push, motivating stuff that was happening at these other business conferences and instead going to stillness and getting in harmony with yourself. And so we started to notice like you are very different from the competitors around you. And there's going to be people who are attracted to that. And in our research, we found there were definitely a lot of people who were not exactly Tony Robbins fans. He didn't resonate with everyone. So, the great thing about this research is that you can find little gems like that that help you understand, oh, yeah, we're different. And this is how we can help our customers understand how we're different.
And when you see that they don't resonate with everyone, that's where you come in. It's
Yes.
like, oh, I have a door in. I
Right.
can come at this not an angle, because you're not even going towards the same people. It's different people with different values, goals, opinions to go
Right,
for.
exactly.
Okay, great stuff. That wraps up our podcast for today. So let's do a quick recap of the things we covered in this podcast. Brand positioning is figuring out where your brand fits in the competitive landscape of your products, services, and then implementing strategies that are based on how you will get your brand to stand out as different from the other brands in your space.
Yeah, owning that word in your customer's mind.
Oh, that's powerful. That is
Yes.
so powerful. And then second, we talked about target audience, knowing your audience segments, who they are, what they value, the opinions, the interests, where they hang out, and then how to perform an actual competitive audit. Differentiate your brand.
Yes. It was a lot. You guys did great. And don't worry, we'll have more for you next week.
And it's so valuable. It is important, and it will make a difference.
Yes. Okay, you guys ready for your action steps for your homework? Yay! Okay, so here's what we're going to do this week. Your job is to start your target audience persona, figuring out who your target audience is. If you already have an idea, then go check it and see if there's any other insights that you need to put in there. So think about what you already know. What do you need to find out? What information is missing? And then what tools can you use to find out those missing insights? Social media analytics, Google Analytics, a survey. What is it? Okay, so after you've got that, then your next thing is to perform a competitive audit. You can start out with just a mini one, do one keyword search, pull the top few results from that keyword search, and then analyze those brands. Look at their websites, look at their social media accounts, look at their messaging, their visual identity, their products and services, their pricing, their customer experience, and then make notes of all the things that you gather from that.
Excellent. Yes. And remember that consistent brand positioning is a journey because it's not just a one-time task. It's going to keep coming up and it's going to evolve depending on other companies coming up. And if you don't adapt and flow with it, you could become irrelevant or outdated very easily.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, we encourage listeners to share their positioning success stories on social media and tag the podcast. We also want to know how we can help you. Post your questions and we'll do our best to help. For the next episode, we will teach you how to take the insights from your competitive audit and identify your brand's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and how to differentiate yourself and your brand using proven strategies. Again, we thank you listeners for taking time out of your day to participate. We invite all to follow us, rate us, share us with your friends. Until next time, I'm Brian Halley.
And I'm Emily Halley.
Take care.